Around 4 a.m., officers at the precinct were sitting through a quiet early shift when the phone rang. Metro PD, Officer Ramirez speaking. A woman's voice answered, panicked but composed. My name is Ms. Ida Hawkins. I'm 56 years old. I live in an apartment near Jefferson Heights. I just woke up and found my boyfriend dead. He hanged himself in my living room. Within minutes, the police mobilized. A potential suicide was still a case involving a deceased body, and they had to alert both the homicide unit and crime scene investigation team. They all headed toward the address the caller gave. The apartment was on the third floor of an older brick complex. It was spacious, over 1,000 square feet. The building was silent, most residents were still asleep. It was barely 4:30 a.m. Officers climbed the stairwell and located apartment #3C. They knocked. A woman in her mid-30s opened the door, visibly shaken. Inside, another woman, much younger, was on the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. Which one of you is Ms. Ida Hawkins? Asked the lead officer. The older-looking woman replied, That's me. I'm 56. The officers exchanged glances. She didn't look a day over 35. Ms. Hawkins led them into the living room. What they saw stopped them cold. A man, no older than 28, was hanging from the chandelier. A belt was tied tightly around his neck. His feet weren't touching the floor. A small table lay tipped over beside him. The crime scene unit stepped in immediately, documenting the area, collecting evidence. While some officers began inspecting the body for bruising, signs of foul play, or struggle, others sat with Ms. Hawkins to get a statement. She gestured toward the sobbing girl. That's my daughter, Nesreen. Well, technically she's not my biological daughter. I raised her after my husband left. I couldn't have children. The officers listened as Ms. Hawkins continued. My ex-husband and I split up over 15 years ago. It was a long, hard marriage. After the divorce, it was just me and Nesreen. And the man hanging in your living room? The officer asked. That's Osama. My boyfriend. He's much younger than you. I know. He was only 28. But he and we had a thing. It wasn't perfect. Lately, we'd been arguing a lot. He was drinking more than usual. He had problems. But I never thought he'd do something like this. Officers urged her to give a full account of the last several hours. She nodded and began. It was around 10 p.m. when he showed up at my door carrying a 6-pack of cheap beer. I told him I didn't feel like drinking, that I wasn't in the mood. He insisted on hanging out, said he just wanted to chill. I let him in anyway. She took a breath before continuing. Around midnight, I went to bed. He stayed out in the living room drinking. But he got loud. Really loud. I came out, told him to quiet down. The neighbors are close, we share walls, you know. She paused. I went back to bed, but a while later I heard glass breaking and shouting. I came out again. He was leaning out the window, yelling at random people on the street, throwing empty bottles. I pulled him back in, locked the window, told him he needed to calm down or leave. Then her voice dropped. That's when he pushed me. Started screaming in my face. He ran to the kitchen and grabbed a knife. I blocked the door to stop him from leaving, and in the struggle, he caught my finger. That's when he backed off and just collapsed on the couch. I tried talking him down, told him to chill, that he was scaring me. He finally hugged me, calmed down. I stayed with him a bit, then went back to bed. And Nesreen? The officer asked. She wasn't home at that point. She came in later. Miss Hawkins grew quieter. I woke up again around dawn. The call to prayer from the nearby mosque, church bells or something, I don't know, it just startled me awake. I went to the living room to check on him. She paused again. He was just hanging there. I screamed. That's when my daughter came out of her room and saw everything. Both Ida and her daughter Nesreen stood frozen in shock. His face was pale, blue even. Lifeless. They didn't know what to do at first, but eventually agreed they had to call the police. Nesreen later gave her own version of events to detectives. She confirmed what her mother said, that she hadn't been home earlier that night. She came in around 2 o'clock, maybe 2:30 a.m. When I walked in, Osama was still awake, she explained. He was drinking, just acting weird. Laughing 1 minute, crying the next. His eyes were glazed over. I think he was on something. He used to do fentanyl and all kinds of pills. Nesreen said the scene disturbed her, so she avoided him, went straight to the kitchen to make something quick, and then locked herself in her bedroom. She was only awakened later by her mother's screaming. I ran into the living room and saw him, hanging. By then, the crime scene unit was already digging in. The first strange thing they noticed? No alcohol bottles. If he'd been drinking all night, where was it? The women claimed they had hidden the beer to tidy up before the police arrived. The officers didn't push back right away, but they took note. Investigators pulled out the luminol and began a full sweep of the apartment. That's when things started getting darker. Tiny blood droplets were discovered on the floor, barely visible at first. And that didn't fit with a clean suicide. When they examined the body further, they found more alarming signs. 2 injuries stood out, one on his thigh, and one on the back of his head. The head wound especially was suspicious. It looked almost wiped clean, as if someone had tried to remove the blood. It didn't line up with self-hanging. No one hits themselves in the head and leg before hanging themselves. Ida tried to explain. He could have gotten into a fight before he came over. He was upset. Told me earlier that someone on the street was giving him trouble. She insisted she didn't notice any injuries on him when he arrived. Still, the body was transported for autopsy. The question was now clear. Was this really a suicide, or had something much darker happened? Paramedics came and took the body. As for Ida and her daughter, they weren't going anywhere. "Ladies, you'll need to come with us to the precinct," the officer said. "Why?" "I already told you everything," Ida protested. "We just need a few more details." Standard procedure. They were taken into custody for formal questioning. By early morning, the interrogation was underway. Ida stuck to her story. She knew Osama well. He had problems. He used. He drank. I was trying to help him. But yeah, sometimes he'd show up crying, other times laughing for no reason. He wasn't okay. That's the truth. She seemed calm. Confident, even. But Nesreen? The detectives noticed something off. She was jittery. Avoiding eye contact. She looked like she was hiding something. Investigators knew those signs: fear, anxiety, guilt. Something wasn't right. Meanwhile, the forensic team returned to the apartment and sprayed more luminol. This time, they found something big, a large area of wiped-up blood near the bed in Ida's room. Blood. Wiped away. Not visible to the eye, but the chemicals told the truth. And then in the living room, more blood. Tiny shards of broken glass. Blood on them, too. They sent the samples to the lab, and when the results came back, it was Osama's blood. That meant he had bled significantly inside the apartment, long before anyone called 911. By the evening, detectives confronted Ida again. "We found blood in your bedroom," they told her. "Not just a drop or two. A lot. And it wasn't yours. It was Osama's." She paused. "Maybe he came in injured," she said. "I'm a heavy sleeper. Even with yelling or noise, I don't wake up." "Except," the detective pointed out, "you told us earlier that the morning prayer call woke you." The contradiction was clear. Ida had said she didn't hear anything all night. Now she claimed she was awakened by the call to prayer. So which was it? The pressure was starting to build. Detectives pressed Ida about the contradictions in her story. "You say you're a deep sleeper and didn't hear a thing. But then you also claim you woke up to the morning church bells?" She didn't budge. Calm. Collected. Not a trace of panic. "I already told you everything," she snapped. "If you're trying to trap me, I'm not saying another word until I get a lawyer." She was defiant. Confident in her silence. The investigators knew her type. Tough, calculated, someone who wasn't going to crack easily. So they tried a different tactic. They brought her daughter Nesreen in for a separate round of questioning, hoping she'd be easier to break. Nesreen stuck to the same story at first. "I was out with friends. Came home around 2 a.m. I didn't know anything happened until I heard my mom screaming." She repeated that she found Osama hanging in the living room and called the police. "That's all I know," she insisted. But detectives weren't done. They canvassed the apartment complex again, this time talking to neighbors. The story they heard painted a very different picture. "Look, that lady's apartment is always loud," one neighbor said. "Arguing. Fighting. Almost every night." Another resident added. "We definitely heard shouting that night. Around 2:30. Glass breaking. Something was going on in there." That didn't line up with Ida's story about waking up at 4 o'clock to the church bells. Plus, they checked the church. It was over 500 meters away. Barely audible from the apartment. The evidence was piling up, and the story wasn't adding up. Back at the precinct, detectives confronted Ida again. Still, she held firm. But with no confession and no slip-ups, they turned back to Nesreen, and this time, they played dirty. "Your mother already confessed," one detective lied. "She told us everything. She admitted what happened. Now it's your turn." Nesreen's face went pale. "She confessed?" They nodded. "She told us there was a fight. A struggle. She said the crime happened inside the apartment." Nesreen hesitated. Then she folded. "Okay," she whispered. "I'll tell you everything." What she said next shocked the investigators. "I'm not really her daughter," she began. "Ida, she took me in from a group home when I was 4 or 5. Raised me like her own." Nesreen explained that her life with Ida started off stable. Ida's husband was around, and for a while things were okay. But Ida was never normal, Nesreen added. She partied. She stayed out late. And then one day, my dad caught her cheating. They fought bad. He left and never came back. That's when things spiraled. She couldn't afford rent. So she started renting out rooms, for sex. According to Nesreen, the apartment became a makeshift brothel. Ida rented the extra rooms by the hour, sometimes 50, sometimes $75 a pop. Men would come and go. Always with someone. That's how we survived, Nesreen said. 4 years. Then came the part detectives didn't expect. When I turned 16, She pulled me into it, too. Nesreen's voice cracked. She said we needed money. That if I wanted to help, this was the only way. So I started doing it, too. She took the money. I was just a kid. She took a deep breath before continuing. Ida would throw these parties sometimes. With other women her age. Drinking, dancing. One night, about 5 years ago, one of her friends brought a young guy along. His name was Osama. He was 23. Young, charming, athletic. But already dabbling in drugs. He was new in town. From out of state. Working some low-paying job. Ida liked him, really liked him. Said he had good energy and a pretty face. She took his number. Started calling him. Inviting him over. Eventually, she told him, "You don't need to work. Just stay here. I'll take care of you." And Osama said yes. Soon, he was coming by daily. Spending the night. Sometimes 2 or 3 days at a time. He became part of the household. Nesreen hated it. I kept telling her he was using her. Taking her money. Not giving anything back. But she didn't care. She said she loved him. The fights between mother and daughter escalated. But eventually, Nesreen gave up. She stayed in her lane, stopped interfering. Meanwhile, Osama lived off Ida. Eating her food. Using her money. Sleeping in her bed. Day in, day out. After staying with her for nearly 6 months, Arya's patience with Seth began to wear thin. The man had become a leech, always asking for money, never contributing, and constantly buying cigarettes, booze, or just hanging around like deadweight. Arya finally confronted him. "Look," she said, "if you want me to keep helping you, you need to earn it. Run errands. Do what I ask. In return, you can stay, eat, whatever. Just don't be useless." From that day on, Seth became her errand boy, serving drinks, grabbing snacks, making runs for clients who came to rent her place. Arya ran a shady side business, and Seth, desperate for shelter and validation, became her helper. But something shifted. Seth started catching feelings. Deep ones. He became obsessive. Controlling. He'd say things like, "I don't want you wearing that. Don't talk to him. Why are you always out?" At first, Arya tried to reason with him. "You're suffocating me," she warned. "If you don't stop, this thing between us is over." But Seth didn't stop. He only tightened his grip. His obsession grew darker. Soon, he started showing up drunk. Picking fights with neighbors. Causing scenes at her apartment door. Arya was fed up. She told him, "Pack your things. I can't do this anymore. You've wrecked my peace. I wish I never let you in." Seth left, but not for long. 2 or 3 days later, broken alone, he came crawling back, begging. Arya, soft-hearted and exhausted, let him stay again. And just like before, it turned into a cycle of chaos. He looked terrible. His face was pale, body frail, smoking constantly, barely eating. Morning till night, just cigarettes and booze. He hardly slept. Then came the collapse. One morning, he couldn't get out of bed. Could barely breathe. His skin yellowed. Arya rushed him to the hospital. Tests, scans, blood work. The doctor pulled her aside. "He has tuberculosis. A dangerous strain. Contagious." Arya froze. She got tested, thank God, she was clean. That was the final straw. "I can't do this, Seth," she told him. "You're sick. You need treatment, rehab, something. But not here. Not with me." She begged him to leave. Told him he needed 6 months of medication, and a whole new lifestyle, no drugs, no drinking, no smoking. But Seth couldn't hear it. He spiraled even further, mixing meds with alcohol, numbing his pain with more poison. He pleaded, "I'm not from here, I've got nowhere to go." Arya snapped, "You're choking me. I'm done. I can't live like this. You ruined my life." He left. Again. This time for real, wandering the streets, begging at gas stations, crashing in corners, coughing, sick, getting high off whatever he could afford. 3 or 4 days later, he came back to her apartment, shouting, banging on the door. She let him in. Let him sleep it off. But the next day she told him, "You're not welcome here anymore. Don't come back." And yet, he did, for nearly a month. Showing up. Screaming outside her building. Embarrassing her in front of neighbors. But life moved on for Arya. She met someone else. A man in his 40s, mature, clean, stable. He had a nice car, a steady job, took her out for coffee, treated her like she mattered. With this new man, Arya finally felt peace. She blocked Seth out. Even when he showed up yelling, she ignored him. The police came a few times. Gave him warnings. Then, silence. 2 weeks passed. No Seth. She thought it was over. But she was wrong. Nazreen told the detectives that, after a while, she and her mom thought Osama was gone for good. She assumed he had probably died, he had been sick, and his health was getting worse. That night, she said she was in the kitchen making dinner. Her mom, Ida, was in the living room with her new boyfriend, drinking and dancing, half-dressed, with loud music blasting. "I was peeling vegetables," Nazreen said. "I heard the doorbell ring. I figured it was someone renting a room upstairs or maybe a delivery guy. But when she opened the door, her heart nearly stopped. It was Osama. He looked horrible, thin, wild-eyed, drunk out of his mind. He had a brown paper bag with liquor in it, and he just barged in, shouting my mom's name like a madman. She tried to stop him, but he slipped past her and stormed into the living room. And that's when everything spiraled out of control. Osama froze when he saw Ida sitting close to her new lover, laughing, enjoying her night like Osama never existed. In a fit of rage, he hurled the liquor bottle across the room. It shattered. He ran into the kitchen, grabbed a kitchen knife, and came back swinging. Nazreen said the boyfriend, who didn't really know Osama or what he was capable of, tried to de-escalate. He pushed Osama back. Osama's body was so frail, he stumbled. The guy grabbed his jacket and ran out of the apartment. Osama tried to chase him, but Ida grabbed his jacket and dragged him back inside. Nazreen helped her pull him into the bedroom and slammed the door shut. Osama, now cornered, turned to Ida with the knife still in his hand. He shoved her hard and raised the blade. Nazreen, trembling, said she stood frozen at the door watching him pin her mother on the bed, knife raised to her neck. "I thought he was going to kill her. I panicked. I picked up a whiskey bottle and smashed it over his head." The officers asked her why she did it. "I was trying to protect my mom. I swear, I thought he was going to stab her," she said, sobbing. Osama, dazed from the blow, staggered. That's when Ida got up, grabbed the broken bottle, and started hitting him, once, twice, over and over. She slashed his neck. Then his thigh. I was screaming, "Stop, stop, what are you doing?" They thought he was still alive. He was moaning, barely breathing. So they poured water on him, rubbed onions on his wrists, desperate to wake him up. But after 5 minutes, his heart stopped. He wasn't moving anymore. I fell to the floor, crying, screaming, "We killed him." But my mom, she told me to shut up. Ida ran to the window to see if anyone could spot them. There was the building's security guard, a second one down by the cars, and even a group of teens hanging out playing cards. The street was too crowded. They couldn't dump the body anywhere outside. That's when Ida came up with another plan. She told me we'd make it look like a suicide. But I couldn't remember what to say to the police. I was shaking too much. Ida snapped at her, told her to say she hadn't been home until 2 a.m. and knew nothing. "Let me handle everything," she said. They searched for a rope, but couldn't find any in the apartment. Then Ida remembered, there were some cords and wires up on the rooftop from the recent 4th of July party. She ran upstairs, found a cable, and came back down. They cleaned up all the blood with bleach, scrubbed the floor, washed his clothes, even cleaned under his fingernails. Then they dragged his body to the living room. Ida tied the cable around his neck and, with Nazreen's help, lifted his body and tied it to the chandelier. When it was done, it looked just like a suicide. Back at the apartment, we had a huge mess to clean up. There was broken glass from the liquor bottles, and blood was starting to soak into everything. We scrubbed the floor over and over. We used bleach, towels, mops, anything we could find. But the blood just kept seeping through the carpet. My mom pulled up the rug completely and tossed it aside. We threw everything we used, the towels, the mop, the broken bottles, into a big trash bag. Even the damn chicken that had been knocked over was thrown in there. I took the bag myself and dumped it in a vacant lot behind the building. When I got back, my mom looked me straight in the eyes and said, "Okay. Now we call the cops." She told me to stay calm, not to act scared, not to say anything weird. "They're not gonna suspect a thing," she said. "They're gonna think it was that guy, what's his name, Brandon. The one I was seeing." The plan was to let the police believe it was Brandon who attacked Osama. And when they called him in, he said exactly what we needed him to say. Brandon told the cops he had just started seeing my mom. Said they met on an app and had gone out for coffee a couple times. That day, she'd invited him over for some drinks. "We were having fun," he said. "Music, drinks, laughing. Just hanging out." Then came the knock at the door. My daughter answered it. Brandon continued. "Next thing I know, some guy storms in screaming. He comes straight at me with a knife. I panicked. I grabbed my shoes and ran out. Blocked her number. I didn't want any more drama. He swore he didn't know anything else. That he didn't call the police because he was too shaken up. He figured it was just another fight, like every other night. The neighbors confirmed the same thing. They were used to noise coming from our apartment, yelling, fighting, banging on walls. No one ever thought it would end in murder. One guy who lived next door told the cops, "I've reported her a bunch of times." Told the landlord she was running some kind of illegal business out of there. Loud parties, sketchy people coming and going. But the landlord didn't care. "She pays on time every month," he told them. "Whatever else she does, that's her business, not mine." People had been fed up for a long time. So when news broke that there was a murder in that apartment, most of them weren't surprised, they were relieved. Then the daughter, Nina, confessed. She told everything. When the police brought my mom in, they said, "Your daughter told us the whole story." She froze. Then she lit a cigarette, asked for black coffee, and said, "All right." "Let me tell you what really happened," she said. "It wasn't my daughter who killed him. It was me. Osama came to kill me. He pulled a knife, pushed me onto the bed, tried to choke me. My daughter hit him first, with a glass bottle. That stunned him. But when I saw red, I snapped. I grabbed a broken bottle and went at him. I kept hitting him, his head, his thigh. I don't even remember how many times." She paused, looked down, then added, "My daughter tried to stop me. Said he was already out cold. But I couldn't. He ruined my life. He was gonna take me down with him." The coroner's report later confirmed. The first blow, Nina's hit to the head, stunned him. But the fatal wounds came after that. After I lost control. In the end, it wasn't Nina who delivered the fatal blow. The autopsy was clear. It was Ida. Her strike with the broken bottle to the neck caused massive blood loss and led directly to Osama's death. Nina's earlier hit only stunned him, she hadn't meant to kill. But Ida? She kept going, even after he collapsed. The prosecutors charged Nina with accessory to second-degree murder. They argued she participated in covering up the crime and helped dispose of evidence, but they also acknowledged she acted to defend her mother in the heat of the moment. As for Ida, she was charged with second-degree murder, operating a place of prostitution, and obstruction of justice. The courtroom was tense through every hearing. Lawyers went back and forth, trying to prove motive, intention, and control. But nothing could erase what had already been done. After over a year of trials, the sentences came down. Nina was sentenced to 15 years in prison. The judge acknowledged she didn't intend to kill. She acted out of panic, trying to protect her mother, but she still played a role in the violent outcome and the attempted cover-up. Ida got 30 years. The court found she acted with intent. Even after Osama was unconscious, she kept striking. It wasn't self-defense anymore, it was vengeance. Cold and calculated. And there was one final twist. It turned out Ida had been living a double life. On the surface, she was a married woman in a stable home. Her husband worked hard, provided everything she needed, and thought they had a happy life. But Ida had chosen a different path. A darker path. Behind closed doors, she ran an illegal escort service out of that apartment. Her clients were dangerous men. Her choices led to chaos and destruction. And in the end, she paid the ultimate price. Justice was served. But the scars remained. If you found this case as shocking as we did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned. We've got more real-life crimes coming your way soon.